Coming up on the Forties Formula.
What would you say is one of the biggest mistakes that women make when it comes to their skin in their 40s?
One of the biggest mistakes is
what would be the signs that it's time for a facelift?
for retinoids. That's the best anti-aging ingredient. You know, mechanical lifting will always beat all these non-invasive treatments. When you take high sugar food, you are actually wrinkling faster. I once had a patient, she was told she had fillers injected on the skin, but she went somewhere overseas. It was really, really cheap. What she got injected into her cheeks was actually
Oh my God.
I went full carnivore for 6 months. It did make my skin very clear.
Dr. LING LOW is a Singapore-based aesthetics doctor and the founder of SW1 Clinic. With over 20 years of experience, she's known for her science-led approach to skin, health and aging. She's the author of In Full Bloom and her latest book, Stop Aging Like Milk, which takes a straight-talking look at what really works when it comes to aging well.
The Forties Formula.
The Forties Formula.
The Forties Formula. Hosted by Jasmin, Dhillon, integrated health strategist specializing in gut health, hormones, and midlife well-being.
And Amanda Lim, director of Lift Clinic and a leading expert in female strength and metabolism.
Named one of CNA's top podcasts and winner of the 2025 Asia Podcast Awards in the Best Health and Wellness Podcast category.
The Forties Formula is your no-fluff, science meets real-life guide to thriving in your 40s. You hit your 40s and suddenly your skin feels different. The glow's faded, pigmentation pops up overnight, and you're wondering if this expensive serum is doing anything at all. This episode is for every woman who's looked in the mirror and thought, is this aging or is there something I can actually do about it?
We'll be cutting through the noise, talking about what's really happening to your skin in your 40s, what treatments are worth it, and what to skip entirely. Let's get into it.
Hi, Dr. Shai. How are you?
I'm good. I'm very excited to be here.
So, what would you say is one of the biggest mistakes that women make when it comes to their skin in their 40s?
I think one of the biggest mistakes is that we look at social media and we actually believe all the claims. Like, you know, there's always this latest ingredient, unicorn tears, some magical elixir. And we're always chasing, you know, we're always chasing the next ingredient. And we're forgetting that the ingredients that really work are the really boring ones with many years of research, but they are not sexy.
So, what should we be looking out for then?
I personally will tell all my patients retinoids. Okay. So vitamin A, but it's not sexy because everybody's heard about it and then they hear all the horror stories. But the horror stories come because these things actually work. So they actually increase cell turnover. So you get that flaking skin. So they'll all cause this flaking skin. But it only has this side effects because you are using the wrong dose, you're using it wrongly. Whereas things like your magical unicorn tears and all that, you can probably pour a bucket over your head and have no side effect because it does nothing.
Yes.
So retinoids is one thing. And then vitamin C, very boring. L-ascorbic acid. There's so many different vitamin C salts, but the one with the most research is L-ascorbic acid. The problem is that it's really unstable. So you got to have it in amber bottles. I always say if you go to say a pharmacy and you buy a vitamin C and it's in this clear, beautiful, clear bottle, you shouldn't get it because vitamin C will not be stable in that.
Wow, I had
Amazing
no
tip.
Did you know
Yeah.
that?
No, I did not.
Oh, wow, that's so good to know. Okay, let's go back a little bit. You mentioned retinoids. Now, we've all heard of retinol. What's the difference?
So retinoids is a more potent form of retinol. And both are vitamin A, different salts. Difference is that retinol is what you can find over the counter.
Yes.
So if you want to start slow, then go for retinol, that's fine. If you have your favorite aesthetic doctor, then go for retinoids. Obviously, because they're more potent, you get more effects faster. But that's where you get a bit of flaking, peeling. You need to use it when you're not going into the sun. You need to use it with moisturizer. But I think that's the best anti-aging ingredient.
Okay, that's so good to know.
Like I said, that's such a relief because that's the one that I actually use religiously. So that's at least good.
I don't. I'm really bad. I'm literally just using actually, I'm not using anything. I'm using cleanser, and then my moisturizer is coconut oil. So I am.
Talk to us about
basic.
that. Yeah, talk to us about natural oils.
So, I was, in my book, I actually mentioned one of the most important things, if before you even use any ingredients, is actually cleansing.
Okay.
So,
I'm doing one thing right.
yeah. But it's not cleansing like what people think. When I say cleansing, all my patients will be like, oh, I do scrub my face for 2 minutes like an Olympic athlete. No, but that's not what we want. The thing about cleansing is go gentle or go home. So the problem is over cleansing. You actually need to cleanse more gently, not more and more harshly. I think the main problems we're all doing is that we are using cleansers that are too harsh. Also, we're stripping the skin barrier. Then after that, we're trying to replace it with moisturizers. It is much better to use a cleanser that is gentle. Maybe it doesn't foam, but foaming doesn't mean cleaner. It means stripping off the barrier.
Yeah, do you know what? That's such a good point that you made, because I really think that if it's not foaming, we're thinking nothing's happening.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so go gentler on with the cleanser.
Yeah.
What about exfoliation? Now, what do you think about that? Is that something we should be doing or we shouldn't be doing?
I don't think you need to over exfoliate.
Okay.
Sometimes, if you are somebody who wears a lot of makeup, I think occasionally exfoliation can help because you're getting rid of some dead cells and then your products can penetrate better.
Yeah.
But daily exfoliation, I think you're stripping more of your skin barrier than is necessary.
So speaking of daily exfoliation, retinoids do have an exfoliant property, right?
Yes.
So are those still safe for everyday use?
So what retinoids do is they don't strip the skin barrier, but they increase your cell turnover. So imagine when you're young and your skin cells are turning over once every 21 days. And so when you have an acne mark, it disappears.
Yeah.
But then when you get older, this time taken for your skin to change one layer gets longer and longer. So 35 days, 41. So adult acne is always a problem because they leave these marks on the skin and people go, I don't understand, I'm having these marks. They're hanging around like an ex-boyfriend and it goes away. So what retinoid does is it shortens it, making your skin behave in a younger manner. Okay? So it doesn't really exfoliate mechanically, but because it encourages the cell turnover, so you don't have this layer of dead cells that's hanging around. So it comes back to the point. If you are using retinoids, exfoliation is not necessary. But for somebody like you're not using any skincare that has this cell turnover properties, if you want, you can add, mild exfoliation occasionally. I think it can help.
Peels be in the category exfoliation?
Yes, peels would be in the category.
Okay. And would that be like a monthly, quarterly? How often do I need to peel?
People really like the feeling of peels. My patients love peels
I do
because
love the feeling of peels. Yes.
after that your skin glows.
Yes.
So what happens is you need to look at the percentage. Are you using a mild peel or something that is stronger? If you're using something in a clinic, then maybe definitely not weekly or even fortnightly, monthly, a few months once. Are you combining with other things like lasers, retinoids? If somebody is on Roaccutane or even applying retinoids, I'll say no peels. Because you are already increasing your cell turnover.
Okay.
And of course, thirdly, what are you aiming with the peels? Some people are doing BHA peels because they're treating acne. Then we are going to do a low dose more regularly because we know the acne comes on every month in the monthly cycle. Other people want to peel so then they look glowing for a wedding, but their skin will tend to be drier. Maybe these will be a once a year before a big red carpet event.
Okay.
You mentioned damaged skin. Now, when we're getting into our 40s, our skin does change. What are the sort of common changes that women in their 40s will notice occurring to their skin?
Okay. I mean, I can even speak from my personal experience because when I hit 40, all these things happen. The first thing happens, your skin is going to change from oily to combination. It's not completely dry yet, but we are hitting that sneaky decade before menopause. So some parts are going to be dry. Now, the second thing is it's like you mentioned, the cell turnover is going to be slower. So scars are going to stick around. You get one pimple, but the scar's going to hang around for a longer time.
Don't I know it? I'm really bad. I'm a picker. And as soon as I get one, I can't help it. I'm like there and I'm scratching and then I'm like, I've got it scarred out.
And it's not just on your face, like on your legs. You go somewhere, you cut yourself, and then that mark is there for weeks, and you're like, I don't remember that being, And then the lastly is a lot of people think I hit 40, I'm never going to have pimples again. Unfortunately, that's not true. You kind of get the worst of both worlds. You're still going to have acne, but they tend to be the larger underneath the skin, a bit more problematic, hanging around for a long time. You don't get a lot of them, but you still get them. So I think these are the sneaky changes that come in.
Well, and you said, the nature of your breakouts change. Do you find that they're more hormonally driven in your 40s?
Totally.
So does that mean that we're helpless against them? Like, you know what I mean? Like, if it's like a hormones issue and it's going to happen, like, what are the best way to deal with hormonal breakouts?
So, there's so many things you can do with hormonal breakout because hormones, it isn't just, like you guys know, it's not just your female hormones. Cortisol is a hormone, and that's why when you don't sleep well, you're going to break out, you're going to heal slower. So the first thing you can do is better nutrition, hydration first thing in the morning, sleeping better. You're going to reduce your cortisol. And of course, there's a lot of female hormonal changes that's taking place. I think by the time acne comes on and you're taking that pimple cream and dotting it, it's too late. There are a lot of things we can use on our skin to prevent our skin from breaking out. So a lot of people treat acne like, when I see it, then I'm going to do something that's wrong. In the 40s, you're going to be using things like niacinamide. It helps very much with pimples. It's vitamin B as well. These really boring ingredient. I call it the beige cardigan of skincare because nobody really is like, what does it do? But it's so gentle, but it does a few things. Anti-aging, it helps a bit of acne, helps with oil control, but not very strong. It doesn't kind of peel like HA, it doesn't exfoliate your skin like retinol. So a lot of people say it does nothing, but it does. And you use it on the whole face. It can be in a moisturizer or a serum. The second thing is azelaic acid. Again, this is one of these multitasking ingredients, but not very sexy. It's been around for a long time. It helps with pigmentation, it helps a bit with pimples, comes and moisturizes, so you can use it all over your skin. And I think that when I change that for my patients and I'm giving them, not empty moisturizers, but moisturizers with a bit of vitamin B, a bit of azelaic acid, they find that in general, their breakouts, it doesn't stop completely because sometimes the breakouts are due to you quarreling your husband. So you still have your husband. So, but the breakout sort of reduces. Then when they get that breakthrough acne, that 1 or 2 pimples, okay, that's where we dot with the pimple cream. That is the best strategy, I find.
Okay, so you've mentioned sort of applying sort of vitamin B, vitamin A in the form of retinoids. What about ingesting it? So like, can we take supplements to help with breakouts?
Okay. My feeling about supplements is that when you take a supplement, it doesn't really go to the skin of your face. It goes to your entire body. Okay. That's why, a lot of my patients say, I take collagen, it's going to pad up my cheeks. Well, it could go to your buttocks. So you're not always true. And it doesn't work quite as well as topical application. For us to take a vitamin and for it to reach such a high concentration in the skin of our face, we'll be ingesting such huge quantities that it is not feasible. And most of the time, we're going to pee it out. So by the time you're taking supplements and you notice your pee is bright yellow, you're just making very expensive urine.
Okay, well, that's good to know. So I think now is the perfect time to play a little game, which we call Hot or Hype.
Okay.
I'm going to chat out some trending topics for you, and you can tell me whether you think they're hot or hype.
Okay.
You kind of already mentioned one, but collagen drinks. Hot or hype?
Oh, it is definitely hype.
Oh, is it really?
It's hype. I wish it was true, but you think about it. Just because we don't have enough collagen doesn't mean we take collagen. Same like when your hair's dropping, you don't eat hair, right?
Yeah, thank God for that. What about skin boosters?
Okay, when you talk about skin boosters, are you talking about the injectables?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that's what I mean. Yeah.
Yeah. That totally works for increasing dermal water. So what happens is the hyaluronic acid content in our skin goes down. And so you're replacing the hyaluronic acid content in our dermal layer. And that helps us hold water.
Okay. So my profile is doing something is what you're saying.
Yeah. Your profile is doing something and you look great. So
You're too kind.
What about baby Botox?
Botox is, there were 3 treatments I put in my books that totally works, and Botox is one of them.
Okay, shout out. Okay, Botox, we welcome you as a sponsor. Please come on the show.
It has years of science, but it's gone from sexy to not sexy only because it's been there for a long time. But it does what it does. It actually reduces the excessive muscle movement, and when done well, it's not paralyzing your face, it's reducing this excessive movement in your skin. Don't forget, your skin is going to be on top of your muscle. Every time you have a muscle contraction, your skin sort of gets creased up. So if you minimize this excessive movement, you're also saving your skin.
Okay.
So baby Botox for people who wanted minute doses, preserving expression, I think it's a great way.
Okay, that's good to know.
Yeah, I love that.
What about things like red light therapy or those sort of
The masks,
LED,
right? Yeah, that everyone's wearing.
Okay, so red light therapy, you got to be very careful. You have to use one that is bright enough, what we call luminescence. So some red light therapy is not bright enough to penetrate the skin. So like, handheld devices at home. I mean, if you're really patient, maybe after years and years of using. But if you really want something to help, you want one that you're sitting in a clinic where there are a lot of bulbs. It almost feels like it's almost too bright. You need goggles. That does help. Two things at 670 nanometers, improves healing, it rejuvenates the skin. And of course, there's a latest study in UCL that says that if you expose your eyes to red light in the morning, just 2 to 3 minutes, 3 times a week, it actually improves your eyesight.
Oh my gosh. I had not heard. To get on that. I was trying to say that is something I had not heard about until on this chair.
Yeah.
Okay, so a lot of women go around saying we want to age gracefully.
Yeah.
Would you say there's a fine line between aging gracefully and giving up?
Yes, I think it's a fine line. Sometimes it is almost like one of my male patients came and says, I have this girlfriend and she's so natural. She doesn't even wear makeup. And my heart was thinking, for your girlfriend to not wear makeup, she must do a lot of aesthetic treatments. So that's the difference. What is aging gracefully? Aging gracefully really is not overdoing, but you still want to treat yourself and your skin with some amount of respect. Like not wearing sunscreen, that's not aging gracefully. It's really throwing yourself to the environment. Smoking, that's not aging gracefully. So I think the first thing, if you talk about aging gracefully, is having good habits. Before you even think of aesthetic treatments or layering anything, it is nutrition, sleep, exercise, mindset. If you are always stressed, I think it shows up on your skin.
Yeah. So what would you say are the bad habits then that can really show up on your skin?
I think I am a culprit for many of these bad habits. One is sleeping late. Okay. So a lot of people think when I talk about sleep is that they say I do get 8 hours, but their 8 hours sort of starts at 2 a.m. in the morning and then goes to the timing of when you sleep is very important because like you were saying in your 40s and your 50s, you really rely on these repair hormones at night. They sort of are like the construction crew. So your melatonin, your growth hormone. But the problem is if you're not in bed by 10 p.m., this construction crew starts thinking, oh, she's not asleep. I'm going to take a day off. So if you sleep at 2 a.m., they don't actually come and repair your skin as much. So if you're shift work, you're the sort that is like a night owl, you tend to have poorer skin. So sleep is one main thing.
And that's the same for muscles, by the way. If you don't get the proper timing and amount of rest, then your muscles don't repair. So all that work you do in the gym, for what?
I'm so glad I go to bed at 9 p.m.
Like I said, it's so reaffirming to what we already do. So
Okay, so sleep. What else would be a bad habit that people are doing?
Okay, one of them is sugar. Okay, and I think you guys see nutrition.
We just did the entire episode on sugar.
Probably going to your area of expertise. But for us, sugar isn't just sweet things. Like high carbs food, that's also sugar. And I know for you guys about building muscle, I think that's a no-no. But for the skin, they form these things called advanced glycated products, end products. And these things makes your skin stiffer. And they can't be reversed. So imagine, creme brulee and you're caramelizing the sugar on top, making your skin a little bit stiffer, and that's how wrinkles form. So when you take high sugar food, you are actually wrinkling faster.
Guys,
and also spottier, right? It also contributes to dark spots. I know my husband, was always talking about the banana, the ripe banana, the overripe banana. That's you on carbs. That's your skin on carbs, I should say.
Yeah.
And it's funny, isn't it? The advanced glycation end products actually is an acronym. AGES.
Yeah.
Easy to remember.
Yeah.
Harder to avoid.
Yes.
But a lot of people think sugar is just sweet foods. But if you just take a lot of plain rice or breads, that would also form AGE.
Yeah, sugar needs a rebrand.
Yeah, they need a rebrand.
In other words, like people start to understand that it's carbohydrate load.
Yeah.
It's carbohydrate load.
Yeah.
Right, so I think that's going to lead nicely into our next segment, which is Fuel Your 40s, which is sponsored by the Meat Club. And they have a question for you. And that is, how does nutrition play a role? And especially things like protein when it comes to skin health.
I am such a fan of protein. I am such a fan of protein that I once went full carnivore for 6 months. Yeah,
I love okay, we want to hear the whole thing about that, but yes, okay.
I went full carnivore for 6 months because I wanted to write my book and I wanted to know how it felt being on a carnivore diet. So I only ate beef, had a bit of salt, butter, that was it. I lost all my friends, but I put on a lot of muscle. I mean, in the end, I found, zero carbs wasn't for me. But, different people are different.
Yes.
We do different sports, different activities. But it did make my skin very clear.
Oh, interesting.
It did make my skin very clear. No more processed food, no additives. You know, it was very simple diet. There was a lot of elimination, no sugars. So I will say that protein is actually very important. I'm not demonizing everything else, but I think that the first thing you need to make sure you have in your diet is adequate protein, especially for women, because we're actually losing muscle when we get older. And a lot of us actually don't have enough protein. And so, I was looking at what amount of protein should women have. And as you guys know, there are so many different consensus, but I think it's like 1.5 to 2 grams, per kg. And the thing is, for us to make muscle, we also need leucine, which is about 2.5 grams. In one intake. So those people that graze on nuts the whole day, you don't even get to that muscle building, threshold. So I think we are all under eating protein for skin, for muscle. Yeah, very important.
Okay, now let's see if you agree with my husband on this, because he's right there with you. He was carnivore for 3 months, and again went off it for different reasons as well. His was more a cholesterol concern for his own longevity. But anywho. But he's always talking about that I need to eat more collagenous proteins. So I need to eat more connective tissues. I need to eat more, chicken feet. Yeah. What's your opinion on that type of protein?
I think that animal protein tends to be much easier than plant protein because they are more complete. But as for whether you're eating, the ones with a lot of collagen, is it better? I think that will depend from different people to different people. Like we know that if you're taking grass-fed beef, you tend to have more the omega-3s and oils. Well, it tends to help women because, we want the whole complete package in the oil. So it does make sense.
Okay, but I don't have to choke down the chicken feet.
Chinese people, we
on air, please.
Yeah, by Chinese people, we love chicken feet. And it's an old wives' tale. My mom used to say, eat chicken feet and then you will run faster. I mean, that's not true. It's such a Chinese thing. Chicken feet is such a Chinese thing.
Since day one, Guzman y Gomez has been on a mission, make fast food actually fabulous. Because let's be real, why should fast food mean fake food?
At GYG, everything is 100% clean. That means no weird preservatives, no artificial nasties, no mystery colors, just the freshest, tastiest ingredients.
We're talking avocados and tomatoes that are flown in daily from Australia, and their famous chipotle fries, real potatoes, skin on, tossed in their secret spice mix. Warning, once you try them, you're hooked.
And moms, listen up. This September, Sundays just got a whole big glow up. Kids eat free. Order any regular main through the GYG app, and your little foodies can get a burrito, quesadilla, or nachos, plus fries and a drink. That's fast food that moms can actually say yes to.
Find GYG at 22 locations across Singapore. Basically, they're everywhere you need them. And number 23 opens this December.
So what are you waiting for? Download the GYG app to get the freshest, drool-worthy deals and make your Sundays taste a whole lot better.
I actually did carnivore for 2 weeks. Did I tell you this?
I don't know that. I don't know that I knew that.
So, but I did it at the wrong time for me. I think I did it during lockdown. And so for 2 weeks, I decided, and I think that was part of the reason I gave up, because I think lockdown had a massive effect on me mentally. That I couldn't then focus on what I was eating. And plus that it wasn't working out because we couldn't go to the gym. All of that sort of stuff. So anyway, I feel like I always say to people, when people ask me about the carnivore diet, I think it's the ultimate elimination diet.
Yes.
So, if you are struggling with your gut health, or, you've got really bad eczema or something's going on, that would be the best time to try it out, and then you can reintroduce. So it's not a forever diet, but I do believe that it can help people sort of get to the root cause and figure out what's going on and what foods, if they are foods that are affecting.
That's a really good point, because a lot of my patients ask me about it, but you're right. It's the best for elimination because we eat so much different kind of food and additives that we actually get a lot of health issues from it. So when you cut that down, a lot of things disappear. But it isn't really the beef that's helping you. It's the fact that you're not taking the bubble tea you want. And that's what I do for my patients that have a lot of skin issues, because they are using 12 different skincare products. So we sort of like go carnivore for the skin. We actually cut it down, and sometimes they're as simple as your regime. Just a simple cleanser and say coconut oil, because you need some hydration. Then from there, all the skin problems improve. But is it so much the cleanser or just the moisturizer that helped? But the fact that they were not using all these different skincare products with fragrance and parabens, then we slowly introduce the skincare bag and, see what works. Yeah.
So what should we be looking out for in our products? Because you just mentioned two things, fragrances and parabens.
Yeah.
Are there other things that are, when you see a label, you're like, oh, this is a definite no-no?
The thing about skincare is a bit like the carnivore diet. Some people can use skincare with all the fragrance and it doesn't affect their skin. Just like how some people can eat carbs, or certain types of vegetables. And some people have skin that's so sensitive that just a bit of parabens or a bit of skincare triggers a reaction. So I think if you have been using your skincare with no issues, then I think there's no need to eliminate it. But if you have been getting sensitivities, sometimes it's good to have a reset. That means just stop everything and then go very, very gentle, and then reintroduce it. And sometimes it's very easy to catch a culprit. And the funny thing is, what you're not allergic to when you're younger, you may become allergic to when you're older.
Yes.
Especially during the 40s, right?
And I think after pregnancies as well. I feel like each pregnancy you have, you emerge with a different skin.
Yes.
Right. So let's go back to basics. If there were 3 products that every woman should use, especially in her 40s, what are the 3 products what 3 products should they be?
Okay.
Only 3, no more.
No, only 3.
Yeah.
I used to tell my patients this thing called a $5 skincare upgrade.
Yes.
That means if you only can use $5, how do you upgrade it? The first thing I would do is sunscreen. And it doesn't have to be expensive sunscreen. A mineral-based, complete physical sunscreen. The sort that you put on your kids and they hate it because it stains white.
Yeah.
Because that's the safest. It doesn't have chemicals and it's relatively inexpensive, no fragrance. My thinking is that is no point using all these expensive ingredients, including retinoids, if you're not protecting from the sun. First of all, your skin is slightly photosensitive after using retinoids, and a lot of the skincare ingredients in your skin sort of deactivated in the sun. So without sunscreen, nothing's going to work. The second thing is retinoids. I love retinoids because it's relatively inexpensive. Maybe you have really expensive retinol creams out there in the marketplace, but if you go and see your doctor, they can give you a very nice prescription for retinoids that's quite cheap. And I always say you can get the prescription. It is strong. What you do is use a little bit or mix it with your moisturizer and you're creating your own retinoid cream that is to your skin's perfect or optimal concentration. Very cheap. And then, of course, the last thing for women after 40s, vitamin B, the very boring vitamin. Why I say vitamin B and not C is because C tends to be more unstable. So you're going to spend a little bit more money or you're going to buy vitamin C serums. And then every time it turns brown, you kind of throw it away. So for me, I never completely even use my vitamin C serum to the end, because by the time it's half a bottle, when you take it out of the dropper, you notice it's slightly discolored. Don't use it.
Okay.
Some of my patients tell me, oh, it's like using thick coffee. It must be better. No, it is not working anymore.
Okay.
So if you want just a cheap, simple upgrade, vitamin B, very, very stable. And it's one of these multitasking ingredients. Anti-aging, it controls oil, controls acne. So in your 40s, you may get, it's a roulette. You could get acne, you could get a bit of aging. Why not?
Yeah, hit all the bases. And that's a serum typically?
Oh, vitamin B can come in a serum, can come in a cream too.
Okay, let's look at a different aspect then of women as they're aging, and that's sort of, their relationship with their appearance. Do you tend to find that as women are going through the 40s, that they're really harsh on themselves because of the sort of societal view that women always need to look younger?
Unfortunately, this is very true, especially of late. I think, with social media, it isn't just women in the 40s, even young girls think that they're not good enough, they're not beautiful enough. And it doesn't help, actually, with this online dating. A lot of my women, when they are re-entering dating in the marketplace in their 40s or 50s, sometimes after divorces, they have this whole pressure to look so much better because, when you are reintroducing yourself to this dating marketplace and the only contact a person comes into contact as a picture of you. The looks become very important. Whereas in the old days, they would meet people, I don't know, in a club, at a bus stop, at your work. So personality can be a part of the attraction, but now it is almost completely looks. And on top of that, everybody puts a filter of themselves. So then they try to live up to the expectations of how they look with a beauty filter. I have so many patients coming to me and they no longer take a photo of Angelina Jolie, or they take a photo of themselves with a beauty filter and they say, can you make me look like that?
And can you make people look like...
No, because it is, the beauty filter does everything. It doesn't just improve skin quality. It also reshapes your face.
Yes, I would say the face shape thing is the big one.
Needing bone contour, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
So how do you manage then that expectation when someone comes in saying, I want to look like this,
Yeah.
but obviously it's not possible?
You know, the funny thing is because I actually tell them it's not possible, I actually lose some patients who says, oh no, but the beauty spa down the road says it's possible. So then they go there first. But of course, after spending tons of money, they come back. And then we have a conversation again. And I tell them what is possible. And even what is possible isn't a one-off treatment. Like you're talking about Profilo or skin boosters. They do improve your appearance. But it isn't one of these things where you just do it once and it lasts forever.
If only.
So so they get shocked when I say, okay, so you do it now, but the maintenance is. But it's the same with exercise or losing weight. A lot of my patients come in and go, if you give me the Wegovy or Ozempic, I'm going to lose weight. And that's it. They don't realize once they stop, the weight all comes back.
Yes. It's all, and the thing with exercise as well, like you said, the reality is if you want to be in shape forever, you must exercise forever. And similarly, I think to skincare, and again, you can correct me absolutely if I'm wrong, but you know, the way that we exercise has to evolve as well.
Yes.
So just because something worked for you in your 20s does not mean that that's what you need to be doing in your 40s. And I
That's
feel like
really true.
skincare has to evolve with
The
you as
same.
well,
Yes.
right? Or not even just skincare. I mean, can we talk a little bit about like the injectables and the things? Like, you know, I love when people are like, oh, I never had to think about this stuff before. I was like, well, you've never been this old before. So here we are.
Yeah.
What types of injectables, and I know this is absolutely subject to each face, right? But so for example, I had a comment the other day, it's like, it seems like everyone in their 40s is getting Botox. I was like, well, yeah, aren't they?
Actually, I haven't.
Says you're one of the outliers. Are there certain injectable or, you know, let's say more invasive treatments than just topical that you recommend for women in their 40s looking for a bit of a boost?
Okay, the three aesthetic treatments I think that has the most signs, are Botox, so botulinum toxin. It can be Botox or distort. And the second is fillers, dermal fillers. It can be hyaluronic acid fillers, or maybe some people may even fill their own fat. And the third is energy-based devices. But none of this is going to replace a thing like a full facelift, a mechanical pull. But this tree has the most science behind it. So like when you're talking about a face, how we age, we have excessive muscle movement. And that happens with age. Is because your expressions and some of these micro expressions cannot be stopped. A lot of my patients tell me, okay, I'll just not frown. But actually it's impossible because
Those patients don't have kids.
yeah, they don't have kids. And have you actually seen yourself in the gym just by focusing or just by straining? You are already frowning. And it isn't just a frown. Sometimes just by lifting, you are activating what we call platysmal band. So you can see this muscle thing.
Too seen, Dr. Low. I am too seen.
So a lot of people think Botox is just frown. I'm like, no, it is for where you're exerting too much muscle movement and that pulls on your skin. So this is the one that everybody talks about, frown lines.
That's me.
Well, a lot of people have these, you know, in the 40s, they have this neck muscle. So these platysmal bands that happen when they sort of like strain or when they talk. This is muscles. And this is the muscles that's pulling at the lower part of your face, pulling down your skin. So if we are
The jowl, right?
Yes. And I always say, you know, we can't stop gravity, but if we can reduce the downward pull of our skin, that's actually the best anti-aging treatment you can have for your face. Because gravity is always pulling it downwards. But if you are always having this muscle movement, like frowning, you're always frowning, you're always unhappy, you're always straining your neck, and these platysmal bands sort of attached to the bottom of the skin of your jaw, and you're pulling downwards, then you're going to have jowls. You're going to have this not a very V shape, not a very sharp jawline. So Botox is one. Micro expressions, especially crow's feet. And it isn't just smiling or squinting. I have a lot of patients where they actually have worse crow's feet on one side, you know, when they drive. The right side has always more than the left, so we always have to balance it out. And they always say, Doctor, why do you put more on my right side? You're giving me 14 units, but because you have more.
Oh, interesting. And you mean that's from the light exposure on the driving
Because
side?
when you're driving, there's always light, and so you're micro squinting.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and imagine you're micro squinting so many times a day. You're squinting so many times, and that builds up. And then the skin will then thin out. And the one common thing that a lot of women in Singapore have, I don't know about overseas, is this chewing, this jaw. And so it becomes bigger because they grind their teeth. They grind their teeth at night, I don't know, because of children.
Get your crunch.
Yeah.
And so that, first of all, it grinds down your teeth, which isn't good, but it makes you have a very square face. So when women get older, minus all the wrinkles, what you notice is that the shape of the face becomes more masculine. You don't have this sharp jawline. You're starting to have a face that's a little squarer because your muscles are going to become bigger. So what is feminine? Feminine face is where all your muscles are small and delicate. What is masculine is when it's big. So all women tends to look a bit more masculine with age because you're going to have bigger muscles here. You're going to have stronger muscles here. It's almost like going to the gym, but the wrong kind of gym for your face. So Botox is actually very...
Any muscles you don't want to grow larger, your jaw and your jowls and your neck.
Yeah.
What about botched procedures? Now, you mentioned that, like someone will come to you and if you say to them, right, I can't do this, they go to somebody else. Have you ever had to deal with a botched procedure? I think we're hearing about them all the time on social media, in the news, that someone's gone and they've, completely fucked up their face.
Yeah.
Like, how do you deal with that? And, how often do you see that?
Actually, we see that quite often, even for Botox. And I think that was reported in the BBC recently. I think in UK, a lot of women were going for these cheap Botox.
Oh, yeah.
And they are not, I think, the licensed one, and they cause some problems. So I always tell my patients, when it's something that you can see, buying underwear, you can see it, you can go for the cheaper one and you pretty much know what you're paying for. But when there's something injected, you have to find somebody you trust.
Yes.
So Botox is one, when you're not using the correct product, it can cause problems. The second is actually fillers. So again, things that you inject. I once had a patient, she was told she had fillers injected on the skin, but she went somewhere overseas. It was really, really cheap. And when it's really cheap, sometimes you have to worry because the cost price of these products are not that cheap. What she got injected into her cheeks was actually cooking oil.
Oh my God. How did you find that out?
Because we had to test it. We had to biopsy and test it. And how we knew was because the cooking oil started having this rancid smell. Because these products have an expiry date. You're not going to use your cooking oil for a few years, are you? It's going to expire. But the problem is that it cannot be dissolved. So like when we use hyaluronic acid fillers, we can dissolve it with hyaluronidase. If you don't like it, if it's your own fat, it's okay. It's going to integrate. When you lose weight, fat cells disappear. But with cooking oil, it was just all integrated in the tissue. We couldn't get it out. First of all, we couldn't understand why. We couldn't dissolve it. It was hyaluronic acid filler. We took a bit, we biopsied it, and was cooking oil. And these kind of things leave permanent damage.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, it's like, back in the 90s when you hear about like breast implants exploding or being filled with weird stuff, it's like this
exactly.
is, I mean, that sounds dangerous and poisonous. We're also concerned about toxins in our environment and people are getting cooking oil injected in their face. Yeah, so definitely check your provider.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
What about these mummy makeovers now? Some people are going to places like South Korea for these sort of full-on glamorous makeovers. What are your thoughts on those? So Amanda, I've been on this journey about improving my sleep.
Oh, you have been obsessed about it lately.
Well, I have found something that has been incredible. Cozy Earth bed sheets.
Ooh, that's saying a lot because you are really picky about your sleep setup.
Exactly. These sheets are made from bamboo viscose. They are naturally breathable and I get the perfect night's sleep. They keep me cool all night.
Oh, and I've been eyeing the pajamas too. They are so chic and super cozy.
It's a total game changer and so relaxing for the evenings.
And what's crazy is that Cozy Earth actually ships to Singapore. Orders over $560 ship free. And in the US, orders over $50 ship free.
And did you know you can get your biggest ever discount, 41%, if you use code TFF today?
So head over to cozyearth.com and use that code TFF today.
I know there's so many procedures, and I think the latest craze is everybody's going to South Korea to get this salmon sperm injected into your skin. Have you heard of it? No?
What's this?
Okay, so it's not a full mummy makeover. So going to South Korea is divided into a few categories. Just a small makeover when you're getting these rejuvenative treatments and then the surgery. So the latest one is people get PDRN, which is from salmon sperm. I know, it's like having sperm in your face, right? I do this tiny little injections and it's supposed to improve your skin. There is some science. So that is in my book under the promising category because PDRN, which is polydeoxyribonucleotide, is a protein. It's been shown to help things like skin that's compromised, burns, injuries.
Wow.
But the science on whether it turns back the clock 10, 20 years is a bit more iffy because healing skin that has been burnt is very different from making you look younger by 20 years. But having said that, it doesn't do much harm either because this protein does improve your skin hydration and elasticity. Whether it turns back 10, 20 years is a debate. A lot of ladies do notice a nice glow. You get little blebs. They just deposit a little bit of these protein underneath your skin. It's not a filler, so it doesn't have volume, so it's quite nice for glow. Very popular in Korea. People do it in Singapore too. I think for these kind of treatments, there's no harm if you are okay with the downtime, you want to pay the money. I don't think the science is as strong as your Botox and derma fillers or energy-based devices, but I think it's in a promising category. Yeah. Then you have the others, the real mummy makeovers where people go and they look completely different. Now, it isn't just a mummy makeover because you realize even very young girls are going there and then looking completely different when you come back, that the doctors are giving them a cert because then when they re-enter the country, sometimes they look so different from their passport.
Of course, yeah. Wow.
Yeah, so it's quite as simple as a mummy makeover. You know, when in the old days when we talk about mummy makeovers, we really talk about a bit of like tummy tuck because after pregnancy and a bit of a facelift. It still look pretty much the same. And I think there is room for that because, you know, mechanical lifting will always beat all these non-invasive treatments like it or not. It's just a matter of, are you willing for the side effects, the downtime, the cost? And if you're okay for all that, then you're going in with your eyes open. A deep plane facelift, I would say that is still give you the best lift that your money can buy. No amount of Thermage and our therapy can compete with that. But also a lot of younger girls that don't actually need the facelift are going to get your rhinoplasty, double eyelids, you know, bone contouring. So it's not so much a mummy makeover. They're like looking like a different person altogether.
Wow.
Can we talk about the facelift situation?
Yeah.
Okay. So what would be the signs that it's time for a facelift? Like, I'm thinking, and I'll be completely transparent, I'm talking about myself here. So had 3 babies, gained about 50 pounds with each baby. So significant weight gain, weight loss in very short, kind of back-to-back pregnancies after age 35. So all the risk factors for skin laxity, right?
Yeah.
Also, I'm a relatively lean person, so I don't have a ton of facial fat, less as I get older. So I feel like I'm a great candidate for mechanical lifting. How would I know that it's time? Like basically how many vials of filler am I now injecting versus like, you know what, Amanda, it's just time for the lift. How would you advise?
That's a great question. First of all, there are like a few types of facelift. You get your mini lift, so like small incision, it lifts. Then you get your smash facelift where it just lifts the top part of your skin and the muscle layer. And then you get the deep plane where they are going in all the way, getting rid of all these ligaments that is kind of pulling down your skin, sticking your skin to the muscle, and then deep plane facelift.
That's just giving me face-off vibes.
Let's do the face-off vibes, which is like why I'm in for it.
So usually when a person is in their 40s, they're only looking at a mini lift or a smash lift. That's a small incision, 2 to 3 hours. It's going to last you 5 to 10 years.
Oh, wow.
And that's
okay. Yeah, that's
okay?
an easy trade-off.
What it does is that it will lift the mid part of the face. Maybe it is not so, well, it doesn't do your forehead. Maybe it doesn't get rid of all your jowls and doesn't really address your issue. So if your issue is just you want a little bit of lifting mid part of the face, I think that's quite good. But past 50, some people also consider the deep plane facelift because then your sagging becomes a bit more obvious. You also start having this kind of jowling down here, so you want something more deep plane. But having said that, everybody ages at such a different rate nowadays. In the old days, my mom and all her friends look kind of like a certain way at 50, at 60. Nowadays, I'm seeing women at 50 and they look really good. They look like 40, and I think maybe it's because they started aesthetic treatments young, they eat right, So it's not the usual consensus where after 50 you're doing a deep plane, in the 40s you're doing a mini lift, may not hold so much. But I think the other thing is what your aesthetic goals are.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think if you're always using an Instagram filter all the time, maybe then it's time to realize that you are not getting the aesthetic goals that you want. And the second thing I tell my patients is fillers does improve, but it gets to a point where you are putting that vial of filler and you don't think it helps and it's making you look slightly puffy. Now that's when you should stop because the fillers, you want it to sort of lift the skin and contour. But when you're putting so much volume to tighten your face, then you are compromising the whole facial shape.
Yeah, and I think I've definitely seen people like that before, right? Where it's just like they just become puffed. Exactly what you said. It's almost like, their eyes are, their cheeks are coming up so high that their eyes are sitting.
Because they're using one modality to get the results of the other. So
Yes.
fillers is to just contour, lift a little bit. But if you have to put so much, it's like blowing the balloon so much so that the surface feels tight, that is all wrong.
Yeah.
So, there is a good time to actually stop the filler and consider skin tightening.
Before you blow up like the balloon. I love all your analogies, right? You want to age like milk, or don't age like milk.
Start aging like
we not age like wine.
Yes.
Like, would you say aesthetics help with confidence, or can it really highlight insecurities as well? Because so from my perspective, what I think is one of the reasons why I haven't gone down that route is because I feel like if I start doing treatments and procedures, eventually I'll just keep seeing the flaws and be like, oh, I need to do this now. Oh, I don't like this. I need to do this. So do you see sort of both sides where initially it helped with the confidence, but then someone became very insecure about the way they looked?
Yes. And I think that really depends on the person. There are some people genuinely, they are very confident.
Yeah.
And so they may not even need much. And when they do it, they know exactly when to stop. And these are the women who come in and tell me, I just want some lasers to get rid of the pigmentation. And no matter what their friends say, they are not going to have sperm on their face. They're like, draw the line. So I'm just going to get rid of my moles. So these are the really confident. And I really appreciate them because they know exactly what they want. But they treat their body and the skin like a temple. And there's nothing wrong with loving yourself and wanting to get rid of melasma that's come on during pregnancy.
There you go.
Okay?
Yeah.
Then there are women where, they are showing you all sorts of photos of themselves. Like, that day I took this photo and then I saw this line and they don't realize it's the lighting, it's that day, whether you slept or not. And they are just looking at all the flaws. In fact, sometimes I can't see and they have to expand the photo and we are both looking at it. And, by the time you are showing me something that can only be seen in a certain light on last Tuesday when you're out with your boyfriend and we have to magnify boyfriend
20 times.
you are getting to be slightly insecure. But, the truth is that there are providers that feed into this insecurity because it's an industry where it is very lucrative. And so these women can go down the rabbit hole.
And I think there is that fine line, isn't there? Just sort of
There is that
thing.
fine line.
Is it going to make you feel better or worse about yourself?
Yeah.
So
And it's the same with weight loss, right? So many women, before they lose weight, feel like as soon as I lose the weight, all the problems will vanish, right? So that's the only thing standing between me and eternal happiness.
Yeah.
And they probably do the same thing with aesthetics, right? As soon as I get this fixed, then everything will figure out for me. And we both know that's not the case.
It's true. Yeah.
So you mentioned promising techniques that's mentioned in your books. Are there any sort of technologies or things out there or in the horizon that you're excited about that you think could be a game changer for women that don't include, like full-on facelifts or anything like that?
There are several technology, but they are not new because the ones that have the most research have been around for a long time. So like your energy devices, you have the ultrasound, the out therapy, your radio frequency like the Thermage, they still have good science and research. All these devices, they come in some variations. Sometimes there's some microneedling, but it is still energy-based devices. The ones in the horizon that everybody's talking about, like, I hear of people having all these drips of vitamins. That tends to be still more iffy. I know maybe you're thinking like what Kim Kardashian did, like the vampire facial, taking out the blood and putting back. That also falls into the iffy category. Mainly if you think about it, what they are doing is they are drawing your blood and then they are sort of centrifuging it, spinning it, and they are telling you, I'm going to take out all the good things like the stem cells, I'm going to put it back into your skin. So if you are 20 to 25 years old, you have a blood of a 20 to 25-year-old, I'm sure it's filled with growth factors and stem cells, great. You're going to love it because they're going to spin it. You're going to get a lot of the good stuff. You're going to put it back. But you're only 20 to 25. Your skin doesn't really need it. By the time you're 50, your blood's not 25 years old. Your blood is that of a 50-year-old. You don't have that much good stuff inside. So no matter how I spin it, it's still a 50-year-old blood. And I'm putting that back into your skin.
So maybe I should get my daughter's blood. Okay, that's like straight from the Brian Johnson documentary, right? That's like I know my kid's blood, and I put that in my face, and I live forever.
That's why I think Brian Johnson, didn't he use his son's blood? Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, yeah. And I think, didn't he give his blood to his father?
In a way, he actually has some, science behind it. He's not using his own blood. He's actually getting a younger person's
Ooh,
blood.
but I didn't think about it for aesthetics. My daughter's skin's amazing. She's 5.
Yeah. No,
But that's the only reason why we have kids.
Yeah.
Harvesting their blood.
Yeah, because again, they're doing damage to our frown lines. So
Yeah.
at least they got to give us some
Anyway, something bad, yes. Right, Dr. Chai, we're coming to the end of the conversation, which has been amazing, by the way. I think you've given us so much to think about. But before we finish up, we do have one question we like to ask all of our guests. And that's, what's your 40s formula? So if you were to give some advice to our listeners on how not to age like milk, what would you say that is?
Oh, okay. Well, there's so many things. If there's one thing I can do, okay, it's going to be so boring, but it's true. It's got to be sunscreen.
Okay.
Yeah.
There we
boring
go.
stuff works.
Yeah.
We love boring on this
Yeah.
show.
And especially in Singapore.
Yes.
Yep.
It's a
Okay.
huge piece of advice.
That's great. Well, thank you so much. It's been incredible. Everyone, remember to get your sunscreen on.
Yes.
And take note of what Dr. Chai has said on how to age not like milk.
Yes. Not like that.
Thank
you so much.
No, this is the bit we're doing now.
Oh,
We record it and then we just go straight into the interview.
okay.
Because this is going to be looking into the camera.
Oh, no worries. Yeah, I thought
Okay.
you meant just do that.
Okay. Okay. Sorry.
All the exciting behind the scenes.